we're back.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much.
Oh man, feels like yesterday, huh?
It does. It does feel like yesterday.
hmm
And here we are for episode 6. This is
Yeah,
episode 6.
6.
Yeah. So this episode's going to be a little different though,
Yes, it is.
because we are doing a back to school special.
Okay.
And not for little kids. This is for the parents
Okay.
and the teens
hmm
and maybe even the young college students,
Yeah.
right? Because there's some things going on in these kids' cell phones and other places that are really, really putting our young people at risk because they don't have the information that they need.
And I need to ask you, right? Um, basically, because a lot of people want to know this information, how serious is cyberbullying?
So it's getting really bad
Okay.
to the point where they've had to develop laws in almost all the states now.
Okay.
And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today because a lot of times what the parents don't know and the kids don't know
Mm.
is that cyberbullying extends outside of school
Really?
on the weekends, on Christmas break, on Easter break. Cyberbullying is bigger than what's happening while your kids are at school. So, when we were kids, we could only get bullied at school.
Right.
If you could make it home,
Mm.
you're good.
So,
So tomorrow,
my question is like, we need to break down parts, different stages of cyberbullying.
right, right.
That's what we need to focus on, right?
Yes. And we need to talk about how does it how does it go from just sending a message to then becoming something that um, impacts the ability to get into college,
Really?
that could turn into criminal charges,
Mm.
could result in an expulsion from school,
Mhm.
all over something that got sick on Saturday morning.
So it can really start from really like, because right now, social media love is a beast, right?
Yes.
So like basically, people that are serious about that individual
Yes.
sending pictures, sending information
Right.
back and forth. Now they run into like a blackmail situation. That's also cyberbullying, right?
It is, and that's some really extreme stuff that we're also going to talk about because that turns into um, the things that have developed into laws for revenge porn. Wow, big words for kids, right?
Really?
Revenge porn and the Take It Down Act that we're going to talk about later today. That's a federal act.
Exactly.
So these things that these kids are doing on the phone
Mhm.
literally can go from that was just a joke
Mhm.
to federal prison time. And not even like
So it's not funny anymore.
it's not there's nothing funny. So for example, a couple of years ago I had a client that just to give you an example of how little this can be. I had a parent that contacted me because their child was getting suspended from school in their senior year, the first negative action on their record in their life.
Mhm.
Their daughter was an honor society student. She had full ride scholarships already set up to go to college. Um, she was in a group chat where someone in the group chat sent a picture of some other young lady. And in that picture, they said something about the young lady being fat. Now, that young lady wasn't even in the group chat. So it's like a mean girls thing. It's a mean girls thing.
Mm.
But my client's daughter wasn't a mean girl. She was just in the group chat. All right. So she doesn't touch it. She doesn't do anything with it. But a week later, she has a friend over, a young man. They're just hanging out. They're friends, whatever. He's going through her phone. They're just playing around, doing what kids do. He sees this picture. He screenshots, not screenshots, but takes a picture of her phone with his phone. And then he distributes that into his group chat with the guys. Now that gets back to the school. So when it gets back to the school, it gets back to the school because the young lady who was called fat is being bullied. And she hears about it at school. She tells her parents call the school. Now the school's investigating. And the next thing you know, every kid that was in each of those chat circles is getting suspended. And the parents of this young lady are like, whoa, what does she have to do with this? She did not redistribute it.
Right.
She's not the person that sent it. She is not the person that created it. And this happened after school hours. This is on the weekend when these kids are sending this stuff. And not only that, on the weekend when her friend took a picture of it off of her phone, and she actually told him, don't distribute that.
Right.
And he admits it, but he did it anyway. He told her, too bad. She gets suspended from school.
Mm.
So the laws now actually allow the school to extend their authority outside of school hours in a specific situation. And let me make sure that I get that language right because we do not want to
So,
quote. Go ahead.
so like basically what you're saying is, so if we're in a group chat, right?
Right.
But we all go to the same school. You're saying if we're chatting about somebody,
Mhm.
how does why is that any knowledge of the school's business?
It becomes the school's business when the somebody finds out about it. That's when they feel bullied, right?
Mm.
When they feel bullied, then they go tell. They go tell the school, they tell their parents, whatever. Now that what happens is the Supreme Court has said the schools can extend their authority over that if that activity actually causes a substantial disruption to day-to-day school activity. So even though it's happening on the weekend outside of school hours, if you're if now this young person's coming to school on Monday
Mm.
and they're devastated, they're upset, they're feeling like they can't be in the hallways, they're going to the school counselor, this is causing disruption to what's going on in the school day. So when our outside activity then disrupts what happens at the school, now the school gets to step in and say, we still have authority over that.
Right.
And it's not only true with cyberbullying, but that also happens with like kids getting into fights and stuff like that. It's the same thing. Like they leave school, they get off the bus. If they haven't gotten home yet
Mm.
and they get in a fight between the bus and home, the school can say that's an extended part of the school day
Right.
for them to be able to take action, right? So your kid can still get suspended from school because they got in a fight after they got off the bus. And you're like, why? Well, because why were they there? Right? They were on their way home from school, and this is affiliated with what happens at school, and it's going to disrupt the next school day because now this person's friends and this person's friends are all going to be upset because the fight happened. Now school has to deal with that.
Wow.
So it's that extension of the activity that ends up disrupting the school day that has allowed the Supreme Court to say, hold on, pump your brakes. The school can do something about this. So that's at the very basic.
So that's the extension of how powerful like a cyberbullying and a chat room.
Yes. It's wild. And these kids don't realize like what they're really doing just in these chat rooms. They think they're just talking, but that's even worse than years ago. Our generation went to school and we were told, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. These chats don't go away. These screenshots of them, the things that get said on social media, right? Those
Right.
are there. These kids are going to grow up and be parents and grandparents, and those things are still out there somewhere.
Because of the internet.
Because it's different.
Mhm.
We were kids, right? So yeah, absolutely. The cyberbullying is becoming a really, really big deal. So just the example that I gave about, okay, they called someone fat, but there's even been situations where, and they make movies about it and stuff now, where these kids tell each other to go unalive themselves. They'll
Excuse
start,
me?
yeah, they'll use apps that hide their actual number, create fake identities, and then get someone's phone number and bully them and tell them things like, you don't need to be here. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you around. Unalive yourself. And what's crazy is
That's crazy.
some of these kids unalive themselves to the point where now other kids are getting charged with criminal charges because they encouraged it.
Right.
Gosh, I can't even think of the name of the movie. There's a whole movie made about it, how a young lady talked this young guy into unaliving himself. And even as he was texting her at the very end and saying, I don't know if I can do it, she basically told him, like, quit being a punk. Get to it.
So it's like peer pressure
Peer pressure.
on steroids.
Man.
No, because like we was talking about tattoos before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was something that I went through, peer pressure. I would have never got a tattoo. Never. Never.
Tattoos are cool.
Sometimes. Just saying, like, I would have never thought about it. But I was like, you know what? They're going to do it. So I'm not gonna be the punk here.
Right?
So I went and did it, right?
Yep.
So honestly, I wish I never did it
Mhm.
because I'm not into that.
Got it.
So that's why
So even if
I,
it's not a
like,
tattoo,
right,
it's just like, I only have one because that's not really what I do. But that was a permanent choice that I can't undo.
right,
So there it is.
right. So my question is to you, right? Like when it gets into things like that, and you're saying that these chats never go away, the reason why these chats never go away because we have cloud systems now, right?
Yeah, we have cloud systems, but we also have like hard drives and stuff, right?
Right.
So the biggest myth that these kids believe is that things like Snapchat and TikTok disappear.
Oh,
So
so they never disappear. Is that what you're saying?
they do disappear. That doesn't make them unrecoverable. So
Let's get into that.
let's talk about it, right? Because that's how we end up with criminal charges. So you snap something, and these kids they're sending a snap that says, for instance, you're fat, you're not worth living, no boy wants to talk to you, no girl wants to hook up with you, and you send it, and you think it's gone,
Right.
right?
And it's really not.
And it's really not. And so every day, and I mean every day in our criminal law system, evidence is being produced from Snapchat and TikTok subpoenas. Every day. I previously had a client that had 2,100 photos recovered by the crime lab from Snapchat. 2,100. I was upset. I was like, you didn't tell me it was going to be 2,100 when it came back. 2,100 photos that were relevant to the warrant or the subpoena that they got to search his Snapchat. They were looking for one thing. 2,100 photos that came back as, we need to check these off of Snapchat. He thought they were gone. They're not gone. They're never gone. They can get to them. So let's say your kid is using Snapchat, sending this stuff, right? And then the other kid who feels bullied goes and reports to the school, and school contacts you and your child, and now you look at your child's phone, and your child's like, Mom, look, I didn't do this. I don't have anything like that.
Mm.
If they've got probable cause to get a warrant to search that Snapchat account, they'll be back at your door. They will be back at your door with a stack of 2,100 pictures saying your kid's alive.
So yeah, we're talking about recovery,
Mhm.
right? So let's backtrack and let's talk about Nolan Wells.
We talked about that.
So let's backtrack, right?
Mhm.
So now they pulled video of what happened because people thought that it was deleted.
Yeah. Oops.
Nope.
And didn't I say that?
Mhm.
Oh, it's out there.
It's out there.
It's out there. It's coming. And as soon as they said, that's so strange that he quit interacting with Snapchat. And I was like, ooh, there's Snapchat involved? It's coming. Wait for it. It's coming. Yeah. Every time. I don't I don't think that in my time practicing criminal law that I have seen a case in the last probably 5 years
Mm.
that didn't have some type of social media evidence in it.
And like so what I don't understand is basically when they make these applications, right? When they make these apps for us, right?
Yeah.
We are thinking that it's personal and that our stuff is personal on these apps, unless we decide to share it.
That's what we think. But as soon as you create something and then you release it out to the internet, you've released it to a public domain. So it's not personal. It's not private. It's public as soon as you release it.
So that means all of the pictures I get sent it's in cyber.
It's out
cyberspace.
there. It is out there.
So now I'm just saying, no. So we have to be mindful of the things that we send in text messages
Yeah.
and pictures that we send out
Oh yeah,
anywhere.
we're gonna talk about those pictures a little later in the show.
Mhm.
That we're definitely gonna be talking about the pictures because the pictures are a much bigger problem than just the words and just cyberbullying. And I don't mean that I'm not minimizing what words can do, but the pictures escalate to felonies so fast that it's like lighting a fire. It's like putting gasoline to a match. Poof.
Just like that.
They escalate to felonies so fast that actually that's what our entire second segment today is going to be talking about is pictures and how does that work out? How does that work out? Because it's not a good look.
Obviously, it doesn't work out
It-
for nobody.
It's not. We're talking, yeah. We're going to
So
come to that in segment two.
in my world,
Yeah.
that means that, ladies and gentlemen, let's be very cautious of what we say to people in the text messages
Mhm.
and pictures we send out in the world. Because
Absolutely.
if we do not be mindful, there are uh, criminal charges, huh?
Criminal charges. So, like states like Texas has a cyberbullying behavior. If it involves like intent to harass, annoy, alarm, or torment, that becomes a misdemeanor. And so they can be charged. You can be charged with criminal harassment statute. That's a misdemeanor. In California, um, it can be a misdemeanor offense that's punishable by up to an entire year in the county jail. And I know that in Michigan, there's definitely those type of statutes where if the what you're doing is done with the intent to harass, intimidate, any of those things, that it's a 1 year misdemeanor as well. So
That's crazy.
and a 1 year misdemeanor basically means in most situations that you would spend that if you're sentenced to jail time, you would spend it in county jail or the local jail as opposed to go to prison. Because when we start going over 1 year, that's when we start looking at prison time. So that means it's a high end misdemeanor, like one of the worst misdemeanors you can get because there's misdemeanors out there that are 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Mhm.
But if you get a 1 year misdemeanor, it's kind of like on the border of we almost want to make this a felony, but we're gonna get a point across.
And speaking about Michigan and the Detroit area, we we, we will talk about this a little later. Um, there's a lot going on.
Going on. There's a lot going on in that area.
It's like a war zone, huh?
It is. There's so much going on.
There's so much going on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so with the cyberbullying stuff, it's just time for I can't say it enough to these young people. Your Snapchat is not gone. Your Snapchat's not gone. The things that you think that your parents aren't going to see, if this ends up in a school situation, oh, they're about to see it. If this ends up in a criminal situation, they're about to see it. The things that you swore up and down that you didn't do, it's still there.
They're gonna see it.
They're going to see it. If you go to church and your parents have to go ask your pastor to help pray for you, they might see it. I'm just saying, because you never know who they're going to. You want grandma to see that? You want granny to see how you was acting? What you gonna say? Nana, what had happened was you're really about to
Especially when they come knock on your door.
right. And for us as parents, I am a mom, 9 kids, 8 of which
You look
are
good for 9 kids.
thank you, thank you. 8 of which have moved out, right?
Okay.
What are they gonna say? What are you gonna say as the parent when the police come to your door and you're like, not my child? You don't get an attitude. Oh, they're not my child. My child knows better than that. My child. First of all, can I remind you that your parents said the same thing? Not my child.
So what happens now these days? Oh, not my child, but
Boom, here it is. For real though. For real though. And not only that, it
that's
doesn't
crazy.
doesn't help the whole like later on having, I guess, grace from the investigating officers because those officers know that it's there. They know when they're asking
That
the
is
kids
crazy.
questions. So now the kids are lying to you and the officers. And then when the officer pops up with it, you looking crazy. You out here look like boo boo the fool. 'Cause the kids lied. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And boom, here it is. Man. And they do so much stuff. Like just a side note to the cyberbullying. I don't know if you saw, but there was this 11-year-old girl that made a that sent a 911 text to say that someone was abducted in a van and that they were screaming for help and that she had seen them on such and such a highway. It wasn't true. She made it up. Something she saw on TikTok. So she was like, let me try this. So she sent it to 911. So the police tracked down the IP address of the phone.
And went
And they
straight to
came to the house. When they came to the house, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Mom is like, oh, my baby. Dad is like, if you did it, you better tell them right now. You better tell them I'm not playing with you.
right.
But she's lying. She didn't do it. She didn't do it. They pull up the records like that day. Baby, she didn't just do it. She did it more than once. She sent more than one 911 text to the police. And as a result, the police sent out helicopters, all kinds of police agencies. They were looking for someone whose life was in danger, who had been abducted. And this little girl had made it up. They put her in handcuffs, the pretty bracelets, and put her in the back of the car and took her away.
So now here's where the plot thickens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one, she's a minor. Two, um, do they have the right to do that because she's 11 years old?
11-year-olds break laws. So let's think about that. Was the 11-year-olds
Even though it was totally wrong,
see 11-year-olds who commit homicide. When what we hear is, are we to charge them as an adult? Are we to charge them as a minor? It doesn't change the fact that they broke the law. So
but where do you put 11-year-old kid?
juvenile lockup.
So basically, you're saying that this 11-year-old child it is in juvenile
She
prison.
did go to
lockup.
juvenile. She did. That one did go to juvenile. So, like I said, sidebar from the bullying, just another example of what are these kids doing on their phones and what are parents finding out.
Even with the cyberbullying, right? You still people people still commit suicide behind cyberbullying.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Absolutely. It's insane.
mm,
Like, so these kids don't understand how powerful it is. And now we've got AI, right? Like I said, we're going to be talking about pictures in the
yeah,
next
it's crazy.
AI can do everything. AI can do everything. And so, um, we've got AI where they can create pictures of these kids, of other fellow students or other kids that they know that don't even, it's not even really them. It's not even really true. So we are going to talk more about that um, in a few minutes after we have our break. But the cyberbullying, really big deal. Really big deal that parents just aren't necessarily aware of the extent of it. Kids, you don't have to listen to your parents. I mean, you do need to listen to them, but I'm saying when they tell you Snapchat comes back, don't listen to them, but please listen to us. Because you're not your parents. It's hard to listen to your parents sometimes. It's hard to believe your parents when they tell you when you're a teenager that this is going to come back and bite you. We know that because one day we were teenagers and it wasn't even that long ago. Look at us. It wasn't even that long ago. We're still cute. It wasn't that long ago, but
Exactly.
right. But we're telling you, it is not gone. It's not gone. It's
Right.
going to come back and it's going to be so much worse than you could have imagined when it comes back because they're not just going to get the one thing that has to do with this, they're pulling all your stuff. All your stuff. So every little juicy thing you said to that one girl you wanted to talk to,
Right.
your parents are about to see it because they were over there looking for the cyberbullying stuff, and now all of this got pulled, and now all of that goes to your attorney because you caught criminal charges, and now you're about to be sitting there embarrassed. What if you have to go to court for that? And now you're on the stand, and there's a prosecutor asking you, so is this your phone number? 555-000, that's you?
Right.
Can you please read those text messages out loud? Begin at the top of page 1, please, and read that conversation to the court. You thought you didn't want your mama to know? You thought you didn't want your mama to know.
Deep.
Everybody about to know. Everybody. And it's going to become a permanent court record. It's going to become a public record eventually. You just thought you didn't want your mama to know. So,
Yeah, but why be doing things you don't want your husband or your wife to know?
I mean, there's that too. But we don't stick with the kids. It's just in case.
Right.
Just in case. Why, apply this information accordingly. We provide legal knowledge, non-legal advice,
Right.
but you might want to know
Exactly. What's going on?
whatever you're doing on your Snapchat.
Stop doing this. Stop.
Stop it. Stop
Oh
it.
my God.
Stop it. Because it's going to come back. Single moms, single dads, all that stuff you send on Snap, it's coming back.
But not only Snap though, right?
Not only Snap.
Like
TikTok content.
right.
TikTok posts, IG.
Even text messages.
Even text messages. You think you go delete it. Delete the whole thread. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's not gone.
Exactly.
They can get a subpoena from your phone company. It's still there.
That is so crazy.
Sometimes I've heard of even phones that have been in the water, and under certain circumstances, they dry that sucker out and they still get it. I'm telling you,
It's crazy.
I'll just throw it in the river. No big deal.
That
No,
is
it's
crazy.
still there. So we're gonna take a break,
Exactly.
and when we come back, we're gonna take those pictures.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So I am Lady Esquire,
And I am Ice Cold Dre the Game.
and we are
legally loaded.
The bullet started above the couch and followed her down the hallway. 13 shots fired. Not one hit her. After foster care, abandonment, assault, and homelessness, she should have been broken. But God preserved her. You're Not My Real Dad is more than a book. It's proof that pain doesn't get the final word. Healing starts here. Available now on Amazon.
And we are back.
We are back. I'm Lady Esquire.
And I am Ice Cold Dre the Game.
We're
and
back
we are
with Legally
Legally
Loaded, where we give you legal knowledge
Exactly.
and not legal advice. I am a licensed attorney. Dre is my co-host.
Yeah.
When it comes to the law, Dre is my co-host.
Right.
So he said,
Don't be asking me if you want me to represent you in court. Because I'm going to tell you, I have some people that can represent you in court, and they are Links on the Move, Nappy Red, Heezy, Brown Sugar, and Miss Cassandra,
oh
and
my
Melly
God.
Mel. They will represent you.
Oh my life. Oh my life. Never ever. So this is our back to school special. And it's not just for the kids. This is for the parents. This is for the adults that are in these kids' lives. This is for the coaches,
Right.
the mentors,
Right.
the aunties, the uncles, the everybody who needs to know what these kids are up against these days. When it comes to what's happening on the internet, what's happening on their phones, right? And so in our first segment, we talked about cyberbullying.
Yes.
And we talked about the bullying with words.
Right.
But we're going to go into what happens when teens start sending pictures. And not just any pictures, but pictures of things they shouldn't be taking pictures of. Also known as sexting.
Oh, no.
Sexting. You remember Luda's song about sexting? He had to go to rehab for it.
Really?
Oh yeah, he had a song. He was sexting. He was
Sexting.
addicted to sexting. I used to listen to it while I worked out. It's a hot song. But anyways,
So let's talk about sexting. Like, what does it mean to sexting? What does that mean?
it means to send pictures or words that are provocative,
Okay.
I guess is a great way to explain it. So it could be that you're describing what you want to do to someone, or having those type of conversations where you're just using words, or more importantly for these kids is when they're taking pictures of themselves and there's nudity involved.
Oh, so that's what sexting is.
Yes. And here's where the big problem comes in with teenagers taking pictures that involve nudity. Besides the part where your parents should beat the brakes off you when they find out. Besides that, here's the big problem.
Whoop 'em good.
We believe in old school parenting.
Yes.
But besides that part, here's the problem. Young people are not old enough to give consent to make what is considered pornography. And when you take a naked picture of yourself, that is pornography. So if you are under 18 in most situations, you take a naked picture of yourself, even though you feel like, I decided to take that and I decided to send it, you're not old enough to make that decision under the law.
So, what happens if you have these two teenagers
Okay.
and they decide, well, we're here. We know what porno is. Let's make our own video.
Whoa. Oh, please don't.
Where does that go?
Whew. That's gonna go all bad. Could we get to that in a few minutes? Whew, I'm in my heart hurt. Can we just back up to the picture?
Right.
So let's say I have a daughter, you have a son.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter decides she's gonna take a picture of her breasts with no bra on and send it to your son. My daughter's 15, your son's 15. Okay? At 15 years old, the child is not old enough to give consent to make child pornography, to make pornography, period. It's child pornography because she's 15. They cannot give consent to make pornography. If we're adults, I could decide, it wouldn't be wise, but I could decide to take a picture of myself, no clothes on, send it to my husband.
Right.
I could decide to do that, send it to some guy I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I could decide to do it and put it on OnlyFans. Well, this is not an OnlyFans show, but we could. We have
Right.
that authority over our lives. We're adults. We can consent to that. Minors do not have that authority over their lives.
So, when does the minor stop and they become an adult? Is it 18 or is it 21 to be, say, sexting is okay with that in that age category?
So most of the time, 18 is a clear line, right?
Okay.
Sometimes it could be a little bit younger than that, depending on the state. It could, depending on how that state writes their laws and enforces their laws. Maybe they say, if you're of age of consent to be sexually intimate, then we're okay with you taking a photo. So maybe it could be 17, but in most cases,
18.
18.
Okay.
If you're under 18, you cannot you're a child. You're a child. If you or I took a picture of a 16, 17, 18-year-old child with no clothes on, that's pornography. So just because that young person's taking the picture themselves does not change the outcome. It's still pornography.
So, there was something else I wanted to ask you, right?
Mhm.
So, in like different countries, children are getting married at 13.
Yeah.
So, so is that like, because children are marrying somebody, like she's a 13-year-old girl, but she's marrying somebody 20.
Yeah.
So how does that law works?
Live there. That's how that works. You want to be a 20-year-old marrying a 13-year-old, you better go live there. Because I have had clients here in the US who've moved from those type of countries, and because of their culture felt like it might be okay that they're 19 and they're talking to a 14, 15-year-old girl because the family is all approving of it because this is the
So
culture.
it's okay because
So
of the
it's
culture.
culturally okay. Legally, it's still illegal.
And it's still statutory rape.
It's still statutory rape. So it doesn't
Okay.
matter. But as far as
Understand what we're saying here.
culture does not override the law. It does not override the law. So
Really?
my 50 no, culture does not override
That's
the law.
another show.
It's another show. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. You're right.
Because
That's
I was getting ready to go right into something else. So we're gonna stay where we at right here. Child pornography and teen sexting. But I don't want you to understand something, Lady Esquire.
We're coming back for that.
Yes. Because woo!
We're coming back. Yeah, culture does not override the law.
Okay.
And there's so many things we can talk about on that.
I
on
just
that
wanted
alone.
to know what
Oh,
was
yeah.
going on.
Oh yeah. So my 15-year-old sends your 15-year-old a nude picture.
Mm.
Now,
So what happens if my son send your
same problem.
Same situation.
Okay. So, but here's the issue. So now, your 15-year-old has a nude picture in his phone.
Mm.
He's not going to get rid of it. He's 15. He's going to keep it, right? Even if he's hiding it somewhere in his phone, he's going to keep it. So now, somehow somebody finds out about that.
Because
it could be so
he
many
shows
ways.
it to
He
somebody.
shows it to the kids at school. He shows
Like,
it to his boys.
boy,
He shows
yeah.
it to whatever. Somebody finds out about it. He is now at risk for being charged with possession of child pornography. Possession of child pornography, which is a sex crime.
Really?
It's a sex crime. That,
So if your 15-year-old daughter
Mhm.
sends my 15-year-old son
Mhm.
a picture of her
Yes.
and oh, I get it now because she's not old enough to make those decisions.
Right. It's child
Oh.
pornography because she wasn't old enough to take pornographic pictures. She's a child. So now your son is in possession of child pornography because he kept it and he has it. And even worse, when he shares it with one of his friends, he is now doing what we call distribution of child pornography, which is a severe felony in most states.
I didn't know that.
And you've probably heard of this thing called SORA. It's an acronym, SORA. It stands for Sex Offender Registration Act. And so all the states have a place where sex offenders have to register, right? As parents, we know that.
Hmm.
We get notifications, there's apps out there, a sex offender moved into your neighborhood. So if someone gets put on the sex offender registration, it completely changes their life because they can't live in public housing. Sometimes they're barred from getting into colleges. There's jobs they're going to be barred from because of that felony. For instance, you can't be on the sex offender registration and then go get a job working with children. You can't grow up and be a teacher.
Right.
You can't do certain things at your church to volunteer.
Right.
You can't live within so many feet of a school.
Mm.
You can't be within so many feet of a park.
Everybody's gonna know who you are.
Exactly. Your picture is up on the internet. So let's just walk that back. My daughter sends your son a picture.
Mm.
Your son is like, I got the cha-chas in my phone. And he shows it to his boy. He sends it to his boy. You want to see so-and-so? Look what she sent me, dog. Look what she sent me. Now, watch this. She created child pornography. He was in possession of child pornography and then distributed child pornography. And now his boy is in possession of child pornography. Boom, boom, boom. 3 kids commit a crime. 3. Just like that. If the police find out about this,
All 3 going down.
sadly, no. The second 2 are. And that's a whole different pet peeve of mine because generally, the young person who created it
Should be going down with it.
should be going down with them and never gets charged. and just like in case
So-
I'm not turning red and smoke's not coming out of my ears, that irks me to my soul because there's no accountability for the kids that are creating it and sending it to the other kids. So there's nothing to stop them from sending it to another kid and another kid because they don't have a consequence other than your mom and dad are mad because they found out you were doing the most on the
So-
internet.
You know what's crazy? Right. This is another topic, right? But I just want to say something about it
Mhm.
because being that you said what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
So you remember you know, like the R. Kelly case,
Oh yeah.
right? So like basically I don't understand why he's the only one in prison after the parents
Yes.
allow
Oh my
their
gosh.
babies to go and have sex with this man
I don't understand it either. Except for what I will say is
for money.
that right.
So,
So that was prostitution, right?
but
That
that's
was
what
that
I'm
was human
saying.
trafficking, right?
That's what I'm saying.
That was human trafficking of their own kids. So what I will say is when we roll back
But back to what we're talking about.
no, this this is important. When we roll back the time to when that got discovered,
Mhm.
it was before we saw a lot of prosecution of parents being accountable for their children's behavior or for things that happen with the children. So now though, remember we've had two, one in Michigan and one in Georgia, where kids did school shootings and the parents were prosecuted. We talked about that in a much earlier
Right.
episode.
Yes, I
So
remember.
the prosecution is starting to take a stand of we're going to start holding these parents accountable for what's going on with their kids. So I think that if the R. Kelly situation came up
Again,
you might see that situation happen. Where
because
there might be some accountability
Like,
to the
look.
parents.
I understand he's older and he's with children, right?
Yeah.
I do understand that, and I do understand why his prison sentence is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about that. You did it. You go to jail for life. Whatever they gave you, 30 years, whatever.
Right, they
You
proved-
deserved it,
Right.
right? Because you're that age, and these are minors, right?
Right.
The thing is, they're minors, but their parents allowed them to go and do it to
Crazy.
get money, right?
It's crazy.
So from the children's point of view, I understand it's foul because you took a loss either way, right?
Yes. And
So
you were
you
taken
won
advantage
to
of.
get the money. So you won to get the money, right?
Yeah.
But you lost because if his attorneys were smart and they did their due diligence, right?
Yes, yes.
And they brought it back alive, all of those parents will be jailbirds with them.
They
Because
should
you
be.
should be in prison because you took your kid over there for him to have sex with him.
I agree. And for the record, just for the record, because, sometimes we can rub our listeners the wrong way when we get real about this stuff. So I just want to say, R. Kelly is a musical genius, and I love his music, and I will still listen to it. But you can't be having sex with kids. That
Yeah, you
doesn't
can't
change.
do that.
That doesn't change just because I like what you
Because now, even all right, but this is another thing, though, right? This is another thing. If they did reverse it, and hypothetically, he was able to get out of jail, right? So now you are on the SORA list, right?
Oh yeah.
You're definitely on the SORA list,
definitely
right?
you're gonna be
So
on
you
SORA.
can't perform.
Not with kids there.
Exactly.
Not with
Like
kids
you
there.
can't live anywhere close to,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You might as well just stay in there.
Right, exactly. We're at the same. But yeah, I think we gotta, what we're here to do is, again, help educate about these
Right.
things, help bring a
It's the
better
education of
understanding
it.
to it, right?
Right.
So just because we're looking at it from the perspective of what is legally correct,
Right.
how do we correctly apply the law, it doesn't mean that, we're out here on a tangent against your favorite artist or whoever you
Right.
thought was
No,
great.
we're definitely not doing that.
Because I was at the club bumping and grinding into R. Kelly. I'm
Me
not gonna
too.
lie.
Me too.
Beep beep in my Jeep, all that. But that doesn't change the fact that what was going on behind closed doors was not okay. And
It
that
wasn't
kind
okay.
of wraps right back to where we are. Like
Right.
these kids, there's stuff going on behind closed doors
Mhm.
that parents aren't finding out about until it's too late, right?
Way too
And
late.
so it doesn't make it okay just because it happened behind closed doors. And what we're trying to tell you right now is we're cracking the door open. We're showing you, parents, what is going on out here in the world,
Right.
what your kids are at risk for,
Exactly.
and how do you tiptoe into the room without making them feel like you don't trust them, without making them feel like you know they're not capable of making any decisions. Sit them down and tell them to watch the show. Sit them down and say, listen, you guys, you could end up on the sex offender registry.
For real. And not even know it.
And not even know that it's coming. And it is devastating. I can't tell you how many young people I've had in my office in tears with the parents saying, please do something to stop them from ending up on this registration. Do something to stop them from having a felony. And that all really comes down to mercy, is what it comes down to, because some states have diversion programs now that can help keep kids off of this list and say, get your life together and we won't let this stay on your record. That's helpful. Sometimes they'll let these kids make some type of plea agreement that backs this down to a misdemeanor or something like that, so that it's not some offense that they have to register for.
Right.
But more times than not, they have to register.
So let me ask you a question. Do the pictures have to be nude pictures for it to be sexting? So what happens if I sent you a picture of me? Is that sexting? Just a regular picture like this?
No.
So it becomes sexting if I send you a picture of me in a tank top and boxers.
Probably not.
Borderline.
We're getting iffy. Depends on what's going on in your boxers. Just keeping it real.
Right.
Depends on what's going on in your boxers, because if this is just you in your tank top and your boxers walking around the house.
So it becomes sexting if I have a hard on.
Yeah.
That's what it, right.
Yeah. So we have a question.
I have a question. So if it's just a regular picture
Yeah.
of him, but he's saying something to you like, you like this? Or I want you, then what does that become?
If we're talking to kids, it's two people talking to each other, but obviously this is about to escalate to something else.
Okay.
When you're talking to an adult saying that to a kid, that's a different show. That's where we're talking about people beginning to become predatory activity and things like that, and so that could be a real issue. But if it's Dre's 15-year-old, hey guys, we're not really saying that Dre and I really have 15-year-olds, by the way. We got lots of kids, but our 15-year-olds aren't doing this. So, but if it's Dre's 15-year-old son, like the example that we're using for today, and he says, you like this? Like, check me out. Even say he's just in his boxers and he's got his shirt off and he's got abs, right? He's cut. If he's not aroused, we're probably okay so far. But the next step is about to be a problem. So it's all about, if there's some sexual
levels.
content.
So it's graduations.
There's sexual
pictures.
content. There's the intent of the picture. Is it intended for sexual gratification? There's all these different types of things. So same thing, a young lady sends a swimsuit picture, right?
I was going to ask you that.
We might be okay with the swimsuit picture if it's summer at the pool. We start sending bra and panty pictures, lingerie pictures with
Now we have a problem.
pictures with pasties.
Now we have a problem.
Now we have a problem. We have a real problem. So it's that shift
Right.
to where we start to see some type of nudity involved, some type of something that is clear to us that there's sexual arousement or an intent to create sexual arousement going on. And
That's crazy.
this is bigger than just each state, because the federal law says they don't care about the age of consent in each state. If a 17-year-old shares an explicit image of themselves, they can face federal charges. And that's the call of the prosecutor. Like, we've talked about that before. You know, that's the call of the prosecution when it hits their desk, you know. And so that's a big issue. like I said earlier, there's some states that have created diversion programs, or some states that are trying to do things to avoid felony convictions for these young people, because the reality is they're kids. Their brains aren't fully developed. They're not making the best decisions. You know, every single one of us as an adult, when we look back and think about the decisions we made at 15, we are like, wow, how did we survive? like how
what?
did we,
Like
who
what's going
saved
on
us?
here?
Who saved us to get
That's-
us here?
that's
Because we made the
crazy.
dumbest decisions at 15, 16, 17 years old. It's just that we didn't have the internet. So our decisions are not made into monuments for life. That's the
So it's
only
like-
difference. We made dumb decisions
So
too.
so it's like basically when we were coming up, we didn't. The only thing that was out was like what, AOL,
Yeah, dial up.
dial up.
Yes,
So
yes, we're talking
it
about
wasn't like high speed internet like it is now.
It wasn't
right?
in our hand,
And-
right? Because our phones didn't do that. You had to get
Right.
on a desktop
Right.
computer
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out
But
how
you
to
can
take
actually-
a picture with the webcam back then that was connected to the desktop computer by a cord, because it wasn't built into your laptop. Like, we had to go through a lot more steps for us to make these type of decisions that would have impacted us for life.
Because I know when I made videos back in the day, you know what I'm saying?
Amen.
when I was Superman and back in the day on that Nokia phone,
Yeah.
singular service.
That part. So, but now these kids, it's at their fingertips, right?
Mm.
They've got phones, they've got tablets, they've got laptops. In fact, most of them have to have a Chromebook for school. And they're smart enough to figure out how to bypass
Yeah,
whatever firewalls
yeah.
and systems are set up on the Chromebooks. And then let me tell you what else. When they go do the child porn on the Chromebooks, we got a whole new issue, because that's not your property, that's school property. And now you're over here distributing child pornography from the school Chromebook. Woo! That brings a whole different charge, because
So-
you're using school property to do that.
So we talking about, we did dive into AI, right?
We did. We're gonna dive into AI a little more in our last segment,
Mm.
because we are gonna talk about the revenge porn laws,
Okay,
which are wild. They're very needed.
right,
We're going to talk about the Takedown Act,
right,
which is a federal statute that's recently been signed into law.
yes.
And so that covers things like deep AI, where if y'all don't know what we're talking about, parents, that's things like me taking Dre's face and putting it on T.I.'s body in a sex video. And everybody's like, Dre, I didn't know you lost that much weight, but you doing your thing. But it's actually putting together someone's likeness
Mhm.
with someone else's body, or an AI created body, AI created video, and now there's pornography out there that has your child's likeness on it. It's a big problem.
It most definitely is, because I was going to ask you about that too. Like, so, basically, what I hypothetically saying, somebody out there in the world that's watching Legally Loaded right now,
Okay.
that somebody has done that to, put them in some AI video, and they're actually in an AI porno movie, right?
Right.
And then somebody's using it for blackmail, and it goes into
If you don't give me money,
Right.
if you don't cash at me this amount of money,
right,
I'm gonna put this up on Pornhub.
right.
If you don't cash at me this amount of money, I am going to send this to your parents.
So what happens then?
That's what we're gonna talk about in segment 3. That's
Ah.
revenge porn. That's exactly what revenge porn is.
Mhm.
So we've
There's
go
something
ahead.
else.
Yeah.
So basically, right? So with the IP addresses, right?
Yeah,
So can an IP address be fake?
they can. They can go through VPNs and they can change it all around.
Mm.
It's wild, the things that
But
they
you have to be very creative to do things like that.
you have to be very creative to do it.
Mhm.
And the thing is, even if you're creative enough to do it,
Mm-hmm.
law enforcement agencies can still find it. They're one
Can
step ahead
still
of you.
find the source
Yeah,
hub
they
that
can
it came
follow it
from.
all the way back. It just takes a minute. It just takes a little longer. So you're just delaying them finding out. That's what you're doing. You're delaying them finding out. When you use those creative ways to do things, you are, once this comes up, it's delaying the process.
Right.
And what's crazy is, there's so many reasons that this could come up. You think this is your phone, nobody's going through your phone, nobody's gonna know, right?
Psych.
That part. So many reasons why it could end up being disclosed, or you're sending it out to other people. You think that you trust the people that you're sending it to, and they're not going to tell anybody. All right, so I send a picture to so and so, and they get it, and then their mom finds it in their phone because their phone's not locked like mine, and their mom calls my mom, and it's going down. It's going down.
Crazy work.
So there's so many ways it can come out. So yeah, when we come back from our break,
Yes.
we're gonna talk more about revenge porn.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about the Takedown Act,
Yes.
and we are gonna continue to keep you informed with legal knowledge, not legal advice.
Exactly.
I am Lady Esquire,
And Ice Cold Trade the Game.
and we are
Legally Loaded.
2026, artists and brands are stuck fighting algorithms on platforms that make more money with your content than you. The ServiceStation.tv was built to change that. It's a 24/7 broadcast platform where music videos, podcasts, interviews, and behind-the-scenes content all live in one place, but it's not one way. Creators submit their own content, go live, comment, and react in real time, and get featured on air next to major names. It runs like real TV, a now playing and up next lineup, an on-air schedule, live reactions, but built as a community, not a broadcast. This is your stage to get seen, get heard, and promote yourself alongside the biggest names in the industry. Executive produced by super producer Self, a Grammy-nominated producer with 25+ platinum records. Submit your content and watch live at the Service Station.
We are back.
we are back.
Lady Esquire.
Ice Cold Dre, the game.
Yeah.
This is not a game though.
I know.
It's not a game.
I know. I'm gonna be nice.
So, man, now we got to talk about the hard stuff.
Yeah.
This is about to be tough. It's
Yeah.
about to be tough, parents, teens, young people, college age. This is about to be tough. Tough.
And very uncomfortable.
It's gonna be real uncomfortable. But that's somebody has to tell you that, right?
I know.
Somebody's gotta share this information. It's not nearly as uncomfortable as if you or your child ends up on the SOAR list or with a felony, or if you have to move out of your neighborhood because your kid becomes a registered sex offender over something small. It's not nearly as uncomfortable as all of that, right? So we're just gonna have to rip the band-aid off and do it.
Okay. Let's go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Revenge porn.
All right. So when we talk about revenge porn, there's different levels to revenge porn. Am I correct?
There are
Or is
different
this-
types, yeah.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Different types, right?
Mhm.
So could it be somebody takes my picture and they put it on to like a porno site, and they have this AI video of somebody that looks like me with my face and everything, and I'm just Freaky Fred. Is
It
that
could be that.
it? Could be that.
It could be that. So let's start with, like, what is the basic? How do we know that looking at the possibility that we're going down the street of revenge porn? It's non-consensual, so without your permission,
Mhm.
distribution of intimate images. So going back to what we talked about last segment about there being nudity involved or some type of intimate images, and then
Malicious stuff.
it's done maliciously because it's non-consensual. That person doesn't have your permission to share it, and they're going about this for other reasons.
Right.
So maybe you sent it to them. Maybe I'm in a relationship and my significant other says, "Hey, send me a sexy pic. And I send it. I never intended that to go to anyone but them. Now we break up, and he like, no, I caught you with that other dude, and you ain't nothing but a.
Right.
I'm gonna prove it to everybody because I got the pictures. So if you don't do what I want,
Or you don't pay my rent, or my mortgage.
or what, right, all of that, I'm gonna put it out there. Or if you don't let me have visitation with my child,
I'm gonna put it out there.
put it out there.
So, but this is the back end of that, right? I mean to cut you off,
Go
but
ahead.
this is the back end of it, right?
Yeah.
So you do these things to somebody, right? But now you're saying that you put it out there, and then when they track down that IP address, now there's another situation.
Yes. 100%. So, because all 50 states, as of June of this year, so we are now in August. So
Right.
as of 2 months ago, all 50 states, including and Washington, D.C., have passed laws that specifically prohibit the distribution or production of non consensual pornography. So if this person didn't consent, and by the way, don't forget that we already said earlier today that if you're a minor, you can't consent.
Right.
So that means if this is minor, if this is pictures of a minor, we don't even need to talk about consent. They can't do it. They cannot do it.
Right.
So if we do that, then and we distribute it, then at that point we're looking at what could be federal crimes. Federal crimes.
But but I was told um, before, if there's any like posting uh naked pictures on Facebook, on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, when you go to upload this stuff, they automatically kick it off and suspend your account.
Hopefully it does, but I would say that things like Snap let it go through. Maybe IG lets it go through. I'm not really sure. But also, the distribution doesn't have to be on a public platform. The distribution could be sending it to all,
And all that kind of
yeah,
crazy.
but it could be sending it to your friends.
That's crazy work.
It could be sending it to whoever. It's you're still distributing it. So, it could be I'm not kidding. I have had people who've had cases where the the person who is using the porn for revenge purposes says, "I'll send this to your dad.
Oh,
I'll send this to your grandpa." Spicy. Um,
that's
I've had people who are of different cultures, like a Muslim client, who the person said, "I'll send this out to your family," and did. And that person was shamed by their family because of their culture. Um, I have had, yeah, there's a lot of different things. So it's not just are we putting it on some platform out here, but are you using it to harass, intimidate, annoy, torment another individual? Because it doesn't always take for the whole world to know. It might just take for your Meemaw to know.
that's crazy work.
It is crazy work, right? And so now in all 50 states, it's a no-no. And that's partially because of the federal law that's called the Take It Down Act, which was passed in 2025, May 19th, 2025. The guy in the office signed it. And so here it is. I'm sorry. When it comes to him, I even struggle to give credit where credit's due, but he signed it. We'll leave that. I'm gonna set that right.
Okay, the guy in the
Set right
office.
there. The guy in the office signed it. So that covers real intimate images that are shared without consent. So you took your own picture, you sent it. So young people, you take your own picture, you send it to someone, and then they later share it without your permission to other people.
Right.
And they're doing it for the purpose of hurting you,
Mm.
hurting you emotionally, hurting your reputation, blackmailing you, whatever the case may be. Then there's AI generated deep fakes. which are what you were talking about earlier, fake nudes or sexual images that are created using your face. And even though they might give you the best body and the best set of abs you ever had, if your face is on it and you didn't give your permission for that, there's gonna be people out there that think that's you. Not to mention that it could affect so many other things. You know, guys, at the age that you're at, you're looking at college applications, you're looking at getting jobs, you're looking at maybe going into the military. And if you think for 1 second that they are not scouring your internet footprint to find out everything that you're doing, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. When you're drinking at your parties, that's for another show. When you're smoking your weed online, that is also for another show. But if you don't think for 1 second that they are looking for everything, as soon as you put your application in, let me go find Lady Esquire and see what her reputation is and see what she has out there publicly. Because do we want that associated with us? So
That's
this is
crazy.
out there, these type of revenge porns, and now what? Now, what are you going to do when you were on the honor society and was about to get a full ride scholarship to Harvard and they find porn with your face plastered on it? It's a problem. It's a real problem, which is why they've made it a felony.
I need to run my name down.
You do.
Yeah.
Telling when we're talking about you. So,
You know, my name
like
down.
I said, this applies in all 50 states as far as from a federal level.
Mhm.
On a state level, it can vary what the penalties are, what the requirements are. But on a federal level, there are 4 things that you will go to prison for if federal charges are brought against you for this. Publishing intimate images of an adult without consent. So please, 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 please don't make porn and put your biology teacher's face on it. Don't do it. I don't care that they gave you an F. I don't care you didn't get the frog that you wanted. Okay.
Right.
Don't do it because you will face up to 2 years in federal prison plus fines. Boom. Publishing intimate images of a minor without consent, it gets you 3 years. So if it's your boo, I don't care who your boo was.
Right.
I don't care if you're he, she, they, them. I don't care if it's your boo and you publish it without their consent and you do it
You did wrong.
with malice involved, you could face 3 years in federal prison. Especially, God forbid, if you're 17 when you do it and you're just about to turn 18 and you're going to get charged as an adult, you're not going to kitty jail. You're not going to kitty jail, babies. You're going to federal prison. Okay. Number 3,
Publish.
threatening to publish it. It's called sextortion. We've always heard extortion.
Right.
Now this is called sextortion, and that is up to 2 years in federal prison plus fines. And last but not least, these AI deep fakes, threats that involve a minor. So you're manipulating another minor by saying, I will do this to ruin your life. That's up to 30 months in prison, which is what, 2.5 years? 2.5 years. So, like I said, in the different states, those state laws vary. You know, are you going to have to garner some attention for you to catch a federal case? Yes. We see that every day in the news. We see it with celebrities. We see it. You're not always going to get federal charges, but know that you can get federal charges. You can get federal and state charges. They don't have to pick one or the other when there's a law that goes against both. And this 100% can ruin everything.
So I want to ask you a quick question, right? And the question is, so you take a collage of pictures of somebody
Mhm.
and you plaster their telephone number on it, and you threaten them by saying you're gonna put this collage out, and there's maybe you had something generated of somebody showing their private spots.
Yeah.
So the thing is that we're getting at for you guys is if you do this, you can ruin that person's reputation. But is it worth going to federal prison once they find you?
That's exactly what we're getting at. Or is it, and if you don't go to federal prison, because that's the extreme, right? But is it worth ruining your own life in the process because now you have a criminal charge. Now maybe you're going to be on probation or felony parole for the next 5 years at a state
But
level.
if you get the right person and they go get an attorney
Yeah,
and they put their foot on your neck and they start squeezing for jail time,
you better believe it. You better believe it, or you get
Eh.
the, or you come across the right prosecutor or DA.
because guess what? Y'all try to play me like that. I just want y'all to know.
He's coming looking for me. Yes, he is.
And we ain't gonna stop until your mother and father works for us for free.
Well, there's that. That's deep. So there is that. So yeah. So just bottom line, revenge porn, not good at all. Let's just not do it.
Mm.
I don't care how cool AI is. I love AI. I do all kinds of stuff with AI. AI is great when you use your superpowers for good and not evil.
Right.
Do not use it to create explicit or sexual images of people, and especially don't post it, don't post it, don't post it. All of this again wraps back into things that, depending on what state you're in, could be put you on the SORA list, the sex offender registry. And you're facing misdemeanors, felonies, and even the possibilities of federal crimes. And they're gonna find it. We already talked about Snapchat. We already talked about it being gone from your phone, but not being gone from being recoverable. So that you're just delaying. You're just delaying because they can find it. So
But there's another law, right?
yeah.
And
Another one last thing that's
we're about to get into that, right?
yeah. And this one's big. Maybe even bigger than revenge porn. Because before we get out of here, I'm absolutely going to tell you the most extreme situation of this that I ever saw in my practice.
Okay.
So age of consent. That's what we're going to talk about. Teenagers who are having sex with each other. We know they're out there doing it. Lots of us are out there doing it. Guys, we know you're out there doing it. And so
And
I'm
that's
not
all
here.
what?
What?
Romeo and Juliet laws.
Right. Well, the Romeo and Juliet laws are the part that can protect people. But the age of consent is where we got to start. Every state has its own age of consent. So some of them are at the age of 15, some are 16. But every state has its own age of consent. And therefore, back to the like how we talked about sharing the photos and sharing the information, if you're not old enough to consent, then you legally cannot consent. You cannot consent. So even though you said yes before y'all hit that, and to you, you consented.
Right.
Under the law, you weren't old enough to consent. And so if an adult comes along and says, I'm pressing charges, they're pressing charges. You can kick and scream all you want. You can say, I wanted to do that. That's my boyfriend. That's my girlfriend. That's my person. You can say what you want, but if you're not old enough to consent, you are not in control of that situation. Period.
When does so basically 15 and 15, we're gonna use that again.
Okay, cool.
15 and 15 have sex, right?
Mhm.
So you found out, hypothetically, you found out your daughter, like you said earlier, your daughter slept with my 15-year-old son.
Right.
You as an attorney, it's like, yo, I don't care what you say, I don't care that you love him or whatnot. Guess what? I'm going after him for statutory
Yeah.
rape.
It can happen. I would never do that.
No, I'm just saying.
But it could happen. Absolutely it could. And so
And these are two 15-year-olds
two
who said,
15-year-old kids.
I love him, I'm gonna give it to him, and he loves me, and he's
Yep.
and
But you're not old enough
that's
to
your
make that
first,
decision.
that's his first.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So now the law says you're not neither one of you
Is
are
old
old
enough.
enough to make these kind of decisions.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely what I'm saying.
Y'all better take heed.
Absolutely what I'm saying. And so what I'm saying is, in that case, right? My daughter can lock herself in her room. She can scream and yell. She can say, I hate you. I'm never going to talk to you again. You're ruining my life, Mom. I'm running away from home. I'm doing all of that. And none of that is going to change the fact that the law says you weren't old enough to make that decision. I don't care what kinds of tantrum you throw. It's not going to change the situation. Don't care. So the example that
Okay.
will help us understand then what is Romeo and Juliet, right? Because we know that there's kids out here that are in relationships, and there's kids out here that are making a decision to have sex. And even though, because we're adults, we know we all probably think I should have waited, but they're not going to. They're not. The most of them are not going to wait. We didn't wait, and most of them are not going to wait. So even though we know that, they're going to do it.
Right.
So let's say that my daughter's 15 and you have a 17-year-old son, and they're in a relationship together.
Yeah.
And they've been in a relationship together for a couple of years, right? Say it's been like a year and a half. My daughter started high school at 14, and now she's in the end of her sophomore year. They've been together for about a year and a half, right? And we all know it. He comes over for dinner. She goes over to your house, and we just figure we're supervising them. We're trying to be responsible parents, but they end up having sex, and
At whose house?
hey yo,
Does that make
in his car because he's a 17-year-old. No, it doesn't matter whose house. They end up having sex. Okay. Now I'm mad, and like you said, I'm pressing charges. That's where things like Romeo and Juliet laws come into place. Given that name because Romeo and Juliet's love was forbidden, right? So in this situation, them having sex is forbidden because the 15-year-old can't give consent. So that's where that name comes from. So in some states, there are laws like that that will say if there's not more than 2 years in age, and when I say not more than 2 years, I don't mean she's 15, he's 17 and a half. I mean, they're going to go exactly by the days, add 365 and 365. And if there's not more than that many days between them, then that rule may apply. And when those type of rules apply, it can reduce the charge to something that's lower. It could be something that would not put them on a sex offender list. It could be something that lets them be charged as a minor instead of an adult. It could be something that lets them be charged as a misdemeanor instead of a felony. Those are all things that absolutely you got to check with your state, right? Because again, we give legal knowledge, not legal advice. But sometimes those things are out there, and when they are out there, they usually range between 2 and 4 year difference is what it is. And they still have a certain age minimum, like 14 or 15. We're not talking about if your 12-year-old is sleeping with a 15-year-old kid. They're not getting away with that. There's a charge coming.
right?
But if they're 14, like high school,
Right.
high school age is where these things tend to start falling into place. So like
That's crazy.
yeah. So like Texas allows a defense if the age difference is no more than 3 years. And California, they don't decriminalize it, but they will say, we'll make this a misdemeanor instead of a felony.
Okay.
Arizona, they've got a 2 year window. So it just
So
depends.
15 to 17 can work in Arizona.
But you got to prove they're in a relationship. That's been my experience. It's not just, oh, well, my son's 17 and he had a one night stand with your 15-year-old daughter. That's not it. They're in a relationship, and you can show that they've been in a relationship.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then they have been intimate with each other, because now that's where the Romeo and Juliet comes from. Romeo and Juliet loved each other.
Right.
In their naivety, they loved each other so much they were willing to die.
Go on and on.
So
Right.
that's how we feel.
Right.
You guys, that's how we feel. That's how we felt. We just look like those, but that's how we felt. So that's what those rules are made for, is to protect those situations or to help minimize damage in those situations where kids are making kid decisions
Wow.
and they're in a real relationship. But we can never assume that those protections are in place, right? And we can never assume that it's going to save our kid from serious charges. We can't assume those things. So whatever state you're in, you need to know, you and your child, this is where Google University comes in. No, it's not a university.
Stay away from it, man.
Right. It's not, but Google, when you're Googling, you need to say, what is the legal age of consent for a minor to be sexually active in my state? And then could you actually tell them what your state is, by the way? Don't just say in my state, but I'm saying that because I don't know where you're watching from. So could you
Right.
actually say
Right.
in the state of Georgia, where we're at right now, what is the legal age of consent for a minor to have sex in the state of Georgia? And I'm not kidding. Tell your sons to ID people. I'm not playing with y'all. Tell them to ask for it because this is their lives. Tell your daughters the same thing because I'm not disregarding that there are same sex relationships out here.
Mhm.
We're not here to decide what's okay, what's not okay for people, for the decisions for people to make. But whatever relationships you're in, it doesn't matter. It could be a same sex relationship. Don't think for 1 second that your daughter can't get charged for penetrating my daughter because she absolutely can because of fingers penetration. And not only that, while we're on this subject, every time there's penetration, there's the opportunity for an additional charge. So if there's sexual activity one time, but there is um, foreplay that involves penetration by a finger, there's sexual intercourse that involves penetration by your actual body parts, and there's oral sex, those are 3 points of penetration, and those are 3 counts of sexual assault. So don't get that twisted.
Oh, and also let them know too. Um, um, fake ones get you in trouble
All
too.
day, still penetration.
Yeah,
All day, still penetration. Yeah.
just wanted to
So
get that out.
just putting that out there. Just putting it out there. So you cannot just, guys. So let me tell you because we're getting towards the end of the show, and I
Right.
want to tell you about this wild story that I had as an
Yes.
attorney some years ago.
Okay.
A friend of mine called me up and said, "I need you to help my son."
Uh-oh.
He was, I think, around 17 at the time when I got the call,
Down here.
and there was a 15-year-old girl who was pregnant by him,
Oh no.
and they were in a relationship,
I just said it's going down here.
and they were living together under the young lady's mother's roof, living together. Mom knows that they're sleeping together. They're sleeping together in the same room. Daughter's pregnant, baby on the way. It's not a secret anymore that daughter's pregnant. Something goes down, and the mom and my friend's son fall out. I don't know what the real reason is why the police came with charges, but I think it was because they wanted my client to testify against the girl's mother. I think that they thought my client knew something and they wanted to testify against his girlfriend's mother. So the police threatened to press statutory rape charges on my client, and there was no way in hell that they were not going to be able to prove it because she was pregnant with this baby. So try and prove that. Not to mention that there were photos that the kids had taken. She took pictures in the bathtub in a bubble bath.
Oh no.
So they were sexually explicit photos, child pornography because she was 15. And here's this 17-year-old boy who's trying to do the right thing, stand by this young lady that he was in a relationship with, make sure that his new baby that's on the way is taken care of. And all the family members on both sides know that these kids are in a relationship and have condoned the relationship all this time. And the police step in, and because they are pursuing one of the adults, now want to press my client, who's a child, to say, "You testify or else we're bringing these charges." Never saw that coming, did you guys?
Yeah.
Never saw that coming. And this is why I'm saying,
So
like,
what did you? All right. So
never saw it coming.
I know you can't speak on it, but let's go around about the words that you said to your client.
I told my client he was in big trouble because my client came from a family that said snitches get stitches. I advise my client from a legal standpoint to tell. You do not want to be on the sex offender registry for the rest of your life. You do not want this to affect your ability to have parenting time with your child. You do not want, like, this is crazy. You're 17 years old. You do not want this to affect, you don't have a felony record. But he would not tell. He would not tell. He would not testify. And that's his decision. But I made sure that he made an informed decision. At the end of the day, he did not end up getting charged with that charge, but I will say that he did get charges and he did end up having to be on probation for a while. I was able to work him out of the situation where he did not end up on the sex offender registry. But thank you. But we never should have been in that situation in the first place, right? And what I'm saying is, you guys, you think you've got it all under control. and I'm not just saying this, we're getting ready to wrap up. I am not just saying this to the teenagers, I'm saying it to the parents too. We think we've got it under control. Those parents were condoning that relationship. We're never going to press charges on each other. We know each other. We're a big family. Okay, a baby's coming, but we're okay with it. We're going to work through it. We're going to support these teenagers. But the police said not so. We're going to put the pressure on. And they don't need your help to press those charges when there's a baby on the way and there's proof.
Right.
So you can't control every possible outcome. The only thing you can do is don't do it in the first place. That's why we did this show. That's why we did this episode. That's why we spent 90 minutes tea party.
Right, on the tea party.
On the tea party, telling you the tea because your child's got to get ready for school this year. Share this with everybody that you know that's raising kids. Share it with your sisters, your brothers, all the TTs, all the
Take this in your social media and send this to somebody. Don't send no naked pictures.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I am Ice Cold Dre the Gang.
I am Lady Esquire. And until next time, we are
Legally loaded.
Legally Loaded. See you guys next week.
The bullet started above the couch and followed her down the hallway. 13 shots fired. Not one hit her. After foster care, abandonment, assault, and homelessness, she should have been broken. But God preserved her. You're Not My Real Dad is more than a book. It's proof that pain doesn't get the final word. Healing starts here. Available now on Amazon.